Australia's biggest and oldest energy producer today said it will stop generating electricity with coal by 2035, between 5 to 10 years earlier than it had previously planned. Business editor Ross Greenwood is with me. Ross, this comes in the face of enormous community and investor pressure.
There's no doubt. There's the community pressure for starters, but there is also the investor pressure. And as we know, Mike Cannon-Brookes is the biggest shareholder now at AGL, and he has got a stated plan of trying to close these power stations early. So you can see today a strategic review from AGL. Part of the board's gone, the old management's gone, and so they're now saying that the Loy Yang A power station, the biggest power station and generator in Victoria, will close some 10 years earlier than it was previously slated. It was previously between 2045 and 2040 and 45, now 2035. The other thing also here, you can see that Loy Yang A in Victoria is to be closed to 2035. Bayswater in New South Wales, the biggest there, from between now 2030 and 2033. That's the same as a plan previously AGL had said earlier this year. And the Liddell power station, a controversial power station, will close in April next year. Now that potentially puts enormous pressure, but again, there's no change in that plan. That's the important one. The big one is going to be that Victorian Loy Yang A power station. So this is one of the keys in regards to a new plan from the management in the face of the major shareholding from Mike Cannon-Brookes. The big question now is just how that changes, A, the sentiment, but B, then the attitude in regards to the future management of Australia's oldest and largest power company.
Well, it raises another question. It comes at a time when the ownership and board of AGL is up in the air.
Well, it really is, because there's an annual meeting of AGL which is due, and it also raises a question about the strategy of AGL. The previous management of AGL had wanted to split AGL in two. That was the thing really that was the catalyst for Mike Cannon-Brookes to come in and become the major shareholder. They effectively wanted to put all of the coal-fired power stations into one entity and to effectively had a lot of their renewable energy processes plus their retail arm in another business, a separate business. But they wanted those coal-fired power stations to continue to generate well into the 1940s. Now, Mike Cannon-Brookes, 2040s, Mike Cannon-Brookes, of course, said, well, that's not going to happen. And so what happened is he said he wanted these power stations closed early. He's now nominated 4 independent directors to the board. If we go through some of those, they are Kerry Schott, who, of course, used to be the boss of IPART, the energy regulator in New South Wales. There's also Professor John Pollaers as another one. There is Mark Twaddell is another, and then finally there is Christine Holman, who is the other director that he has nominated to the board. He's the major shareholder. Other big institutional investors, in particular some of the industry super funds, have said that they will back him and this strategy of closing these coal-fired power stations. And so really this is an important turning point in the future of Australia's oldest power generator, but then also indeed Australia's generation and its grid.
And on another matter, Optus's owner Singtel has broken its silence about that massive data hack. It's backing the board, I understand.
It is indeed. So we received a statement from Singapore Telecom, Singtel, that is basically in part saying, this is the key part, we have extended our fullest support to Kelly and Optus management as they work to minimise inconvenience and risk to customers. Now, this is about the chief executive of Optus, and the point is that they've been under enormous pressure since this data hack. The greatest pressure has probably come from the government, where it has really raised questions about the information that has been given, and also has said that Optus should be paying for the renewal of passports of people who have been affected. But the point is that Singapore Telecom, the major shareholder, in fact the only shareholder in Optus, says it will back the existing board as they try and work it out. They also go on and say that there are going to be, significant emphasis on the security of those customers, as you kind of expect. But given the fact now it seems to have been a fairly straightforward hack and a security issue that should have been covered by Optus, that's where the questions from government in particular are going to come from.
Yeah, it certainly appears that way. Just finally, markets are bouncing back today as the UK's economy finally settled overnight, Ross.
That's true. So the ASX 200 this morning is up by more than 1%, and that came as a result of the UK overnight doing an unusual thing in the face of rising interest rates there to try and slow down the economy and to try and head off inflation in the United Kingdom, now at double digits. They started to print money again. Now, this is a really unusual thing, buying back bonds, effectively printing money to try and stave off a recession. But that's stimulating the UK economy at the same time the Bank of England is trying to do exactly the opposite thing. So this is an unusual situation in the UK right now that has spooked global financial markets over the past few days.
Ross Greenwood, thanks for joining us. Appreciate the update.